Forgot my phone tonight. What time you got, Jim?
6:59.
Okay, thanks.
Just clicked over to 7, Your Honor.
Okay, at 7 o'clock, I'd like to call the January 11th, 2021 meeting to order. I want to remind everybody when we do roll call to give your location, please. Roll call.
Bowers,
Todd Bowers at home in Hastings, Michigan.
Carrie,
I'm at home and in Hastings.
Jarvis,
Here at home, Hastings, Michigan.
Moppenmore,
Yeah, why would Jane tell us you should go there?
Moppenmore, McLean,
Hastings, Michigan. It's McLean.
McLean,
McLean.
McNabb Stang,
Here, Hastings, Michigan.
Rezegi,
Here, Hastings, Michigan.
Smith,
Here, Hastings, Michigan, at my home.
Tassava,
Here, Council Chambers, Hastings, Michigan. Did you want to try mopping more one more time?
Moppenmore,
Entertain a motion to excuse mopping more.
Todd Bowers, so moved.
Jarvis?
Motion by Bauer, supported by Jarvis. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same. Can everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I'm not going to bore you guys tonight with a big, long speech. I do have an address tonight, and I'm not going to talk about all the projects we did or didn't do last year, or give you a bunch of numbers. I want to tell you a little story about 2020.
excuse me, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
It looks like our agenda
Oh,
needs an
excuse
approval of
me,
the
excuse
agenda
me.
first.
I got so excited about doing this, I skipped that. Everybody get a chance to look at the agenda?
Smith makes a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Motion by
Rezegi.
Smith, supported by Rezegi. Any discussion, any additions, corrections?
Yes, Your Honor, I have a question about the agenda. Section 18, the appointments, A and B, are those going to be, are you wanting us to vote on those as a whole, or are we going to individually vote on those appointments?
I gotta look and see what you're talking about, Don.
Okay, section 18, appointments.
We'll talk about, A and B will be separate.
Okay, But
Any
it's
other questions
subset-
about the agenda?
okay, thank you.
We have a motion to approve and support. Roll call.
Carrie,
Yes, support.
Jarvis,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes, it's McLean.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes,
Bowers,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Did you want to call roll call for Therese Moppenmore?
Moppenmore.
Here.
Time is it?
7:05. Okay, everybody's here finally. My story I want to tell you guys tonight is 2020 started out like most years. We had another very successful New Year's Eve ball drop to ring in the new year. We're all excited to start 2020 fresh and new. We had plans, we had a vision. We were going to do a lot of maintenance and repairs to our streets and infrastructure. Everything we did the previous year, we were going to improve on. Things were going to be bigger and better. We're going to have bigger crowds at the plaza, bigger events in the community to draw more people to our beautiful city. We were like a spring flower starting to open up and bloom. Next thing we knew, COVID-19 hit. Now we find ourselves closing things down, sheltering in place, staying home, and locking things down. 2020 and COVID-19 brought a lot of uncertainty. Everything that was planned gradually was canceled to keep us all safe. Through all this, we kept our employees working and safe. All things were slowly allowed to open. We started a major project, the improvement to the wastewater treatment plant, and we're still doing that. We were able to do modest improvements in the downtown in hopes that when things did open back up, people would return to a clean, new-looking downtown. Other modest improvements around town continued to happen. A few more streets were improved, new lights were installed on West State Street, and in spite of the pandemic, our police, fire, Department of Public Services, and our staff at City Hall continue to do their jobs at a very high standard, keeping themselves and the public safe. We had another very successful audit this year, thanks to the Clerk Treasurer's Department and their staff. 2020 was a very challenging year. Through all this, the city of Hastings is still standing and relatively safe. I want to commend and thank each and every employee, staff member, and department in the city of Hastings for doing their part, stepping up, and going above and beyond to help keep us all safe and keeping the city of Hastings moving in the right direction. Hopefully, 2021 will be a better year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next thing on the agenda, we need to adopt the Robert's Rules of Order. Do I hear a motion to approve Robert's Rules of Order?
Resigi, I'll make that motion.
Smith, support.
Motion by Resge, supported by Smith. Do we have any discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppinmore,
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
yes,
Carey,
Yes.
Tatseva.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 7, consider adoption of the proposed version of the policy and procedures for virtual and hybrid meeting. Everybody get a chance to look at these two. The first one in here, I apologize. It was, these were labeled wrong. The first one, 7.0, should have been the current, and the second one should have been the proposed. Brenda brought that to our attention the other day. Treese did.
Mr. Mayor, thanks for taking the blame on that. That was my mistake.
Well, you want to explain these two, Jerry?
I do. We currently have the one that should have been labeled the current is what the policy is now, with a change in dates from the legislation that extended that one out. The one that is in the packet that should be the proposed has some bold markings on it. And give me just a second here. I'm trying to switch my share so that you can see it on the screen here. Has some bolds in there that were proposals that were brought up by different council members at different times. The first one comes in section 2, which deals with audio and video capabilities and making sure that participants in the meeting are utilizing that for the members of the board. And then the other part was adding a section on how to handle closed sessions if we have to call a closed session during one of the meetings. So what we need to do tonight is either, if you like the new one with the bold that's in there, you can adopt that procedures and policies. If you'd like us to continue to work on it and continue to look at stuff, you at least need to adopt the old one so that we can continue moving forward with what we have in place for the virtual meetings. So that's why there's two versions in here.
Smith makes a motion to adopt 7.0.
New
I'll
one or old
support
one?
that.
That's a new one or old one?
It's a new one, Your Honor.
Okay. Is that support for the new one? Was that Jackie?
Yeah, that's Jackie.
Okay, we have a motion by Smith, supported by McLean. Did I get that right?
McLean.
Anyhow, do I have further discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, one comment. I obviously, if things unfold or we see something we need to change, I'd expect Jerry and the staff to bring us and continue working on it to improve it every chance they get. But other than that, I think the new one with the closed session meetings, closed session rules is great. Thank you, Your Honor.
So I do want some clarification. When we're having these meetings, do we have to be in Hastings? Do we have to be at our house? I thought before we had to be in Hastings, and I do not see anything in here that states that we have to be in Hastings, Michigan.
According to the legislation, until March 30th, starting with March 31st is when you have to be, oh, I see what you're saying. I misunderstood the stuff that you're asking. They have extended the no reason until March 30th. So technically somebody could not be in the city of Hastings, but it is recommended that they are.
The 2022, right, Jerry?
And then I know, oh, go ahead, Don, I'm sorry.
Jerry said to March 31st, but is that 2021 or 2022?
2021. So right now what they did is they said everything that we were doing before December 31st, we can continue to do until March 31st. After March 31st is when they kind of tighten down on everything.
And so do we have a getting back to a meeting plan where we're going to start meeting in person?
Kind of up to the state, I think.
If you look at number 4, that's on the proposal that's there, it's on the screen right now. That's when we have to be, where the board would have to be in person. We would still have to have a virtual component for public to participate. But what it would be is number 4 starting there. That's when the board, the only reason you could not be at an in-person meeting as a board member would be for those 3 conditions: military duty, a medical condition, or a statewide or local emergency. So starting March 31, all boards would have to start meeting in person unless, again, the legislation extends this longer.
But it's not stopping us now from coming together and having a meeting as long as we're 6 feet apart, correct?
I think we're still doing it because it still says from the health department that you can't have more than 2 households together as part of an indoor meeting, as part of an indoor meeting.
Because I was under the impression that the commissioners were meeting.
I can't speak for the commissioners.
No?
I just got to go
Okay.
with what.
No, they're doing virtual.
Okay.
Any other questions? So we have a motion support to adopt the proposed version. Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
yes,
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
yes,
Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
So starting at our next meeting, everybody will be on their video. Next item, elect mayor pro tem. I'll
This is-
open it up. Go ahead.
This, Carrie, and I'd like to nominate John Rezegi for Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay.
Support. Smith supports.
Any other nominations? I'll entertain a motion to close nominations and call a unanimous ballot for John Rezegi. Do I hear that motion?
This is McNabb Stang. I'll make
Yep.
that motion.
Okay. We had a
Smith
motion,
supports.
we had a motion of support to nominate John, and now we needed a nomination to close the ballot and do a unanimous ballot for John. That's why I asked for 2 of those. Roll call.
I'm sorry, who was the
Discussion.
support?
Smith supports. And do we have discussion before this or no?
Can have discussion if you like, Don.
Oh, yeah. I just like to say that my support for John Rezegi, I think that he attended quite a few meetings that the mayor attended, and he really put some time in over the last year. And I was really impressed by that. And I don't think I can't think of very many members that could do that. And I'm just saying that I'm proud that he was able to attend all those meetings and contribute as much as he could. And I appreciate that. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don.
Okay, anybody else? So we're ready to go, Jane?
I believe so.
Roll call.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
yes,
Rezegi,
Yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
yes,
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
yes,
Moppenmore,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Good going, John.
Okay, item 9, approval of the minutes of the December 28th, 2020 regular meeting. Everybody get a chance to look at them. Is there any additions or corrections to it? If not, I entertain a motion to approve.
this is McNabb Stang. I make a motion to approve as written. Placed on
Carrie.
file.
Carrie, support.
Motion by McNabb, Stain, supported by Carey, to approve the minutes of December 28th, 2020 regular meeting. Any discussion? Roll call.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
yes,
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
yes,
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes,
Rezegi,
yes,
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item, open public discussion regarding matters not on the agenda. I'll open the floor up for any public comment, as long as anything you make comments about aren't on this agenda tonight. Anybody out there would like to talk? If you do, give your name and you have 3 minutes. Okay, proclamations, we have none. Public hearings, we have a public hearing tonight to hear comments and make determination on Michigan Community Development Block Grant funding for gallery suites. Open the public hearing. Anybody out there want to talk about this? Anybody out there want to join in on a public hearing? Okay, I've closed the public hearing. Council, do you have any questions or comments on this for Jerry or Dan?
this is McNabb Stang. I had just one question. Is this similar to the level that we have funded other projects like this? The 200 and some thousand?
It is, Brenda. It's based on how many units that they want to put in there for residential is how big that the project is.
And
But it-
and Brenda,
Okay.
Brenda, this is Dan. Also, as a part of this grant, since this will be a 5-year income controlled project, this will be the first one that has been 5-year. The previous grants such as this have been 1-year income controlled. Since this will be a 5-year income controlled, the MEDC does allow for fire suppression to be a part of the grant. So the 3 units each qualify for $60,000, and then the fire suppression will make up the additional 67,000 or whatever the math works out to be. So this does include additional grant funds for fire suppression for the building.
Thank you, Dan. That was why this seems so much higher.
You're welcome.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions? We need to consider resolution 2021-03 to approve an application to and acceptance of a grant if funded from MEDC for rental rehab for CDBG funds. Anybody want to make that motion?
This is McNabb Stang. I'll make the motion. We approve resolution 2021-03.
Yeah, I'll
Rezegi.
support that.
Motion by McNabb, Stain, supported by McLean. Any further comments? Roll call.
Bowers,
yes,
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
yes,
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
yes,
Smith,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Formal presentations and request. Item A, consider 2021 calendar of regular council meeting as the second and fourth Mondays of each month.
Bowers, so moved.
support Jarvis,
Motion by Bowers, supported by Jarvis to approve the calendar of council meetings for 2021. Any discussion?
This is McNabb saying, I just have a question on the one that we're moving off of Monday after Christmas. Why is the 28th? Why are we moving off the 27th?
27th, the
That-
union contracts and the policy manual call for the Christmas Eve day off and Christmas Day. So when the holiday falls on a weekend, you move it to the Friday before and the following Monday. So that's what I think
Oh.
applies this time, right, Jerry?
That's correct. Yep. It's in recognition of the Christmas holiday. So the office will be closed Friday and Monday.
Okay. Thank you.
Sometimes it's a little confusing. Any other comments? So we have a motion and a support to approve. Roll call.
Carrie,
Yes.
Jarvis,
yes,
Hoppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes,
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item, ordinance. We have the first reading of ordinance number 594 to add a definition of commercial recreational facilities. This is the first reading. If anybody has any question, I think Dave Hatfield's on the call tonight. If not, if you get a chance to read this over, it'll be coming back up in 2 weeks. But if you want to ask him any questions tonight on this, if you've had a chance to look at it yet, you're out there, aren't you, Dave?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions of
This-
Dave?
This is McNabb saying, I do.
Go
I
ahead.
really dislike defining a word with the word itself. I think that this needs to be relooked at and define what commercial recreational facilities are. Because all you're doing is saying it's still these types of things instead of actually defining what commercial recreational facilities are. I think you can actually put it in a definition here instead of just using the term again.
We did have some discussion of that, Brenda. I think the concern that was expressed by Rebecca was that when you end up with a laundry list of permitted activities like we've had in the past, oftentimes something gets left out and then it's a question of whether it fits or not. So this was actually an attempt to create some flexibility to allow us to interpret that to fit the situation that may exist at any point in the future.
But this laundry list is no different than what was in the ordinance before. You just moved in an additional recital, commercial recreational facility. It's still a laundry list because you haven't defined the term.
We can take another look at this. I understand your concern. I guess
I expect you probably have the same concern.
Pardon?
I expect you probably have the same concern. So yeah,
I do. Yeah, that's why I asked the question when we were last discussing it. We do have a project pending on this. I guess I would like to ask your consideration of going ahead and acting on this as it's drafted, with the understanding that we'll revisit that and see if we can't come back with an amendment to that definition.
I can live with that. I mean, that's why I brought it up today, was to not delay it till the next meeting and then possibly delay it further. And I was trying to keep it going. So I can live with approving, getting this approved and then getting it amended.
I appreciate that.
Anybody else got any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more. I have a question, Your Honor Smith. Hey, Dave,
Go ahead.
that same section that Brenda's talking about, where it says commercial recreational facilities, and then it references it again. At the very end of that paragraph, it says similar uses. Is that pretty typical when you're trying to define a type of use by putting similar uses at the end, so it leaves it kind of broad for interpretation for the planning
By
board?
by putting similar uses in there, you make it clear that it's not limited to those things that are specifically listed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? I got to admit to you that Dave and I had this conversation today. We talked about, did we want him to be on the call tonight? And I think we need to give you guys some more chance to get at some of this stuff. If we didn't bring it up, we just said this is first reading, when we moved on, there's questions you could ask tonight that helps us better understand what we're doing with these ordinances and why we're doing certain things. This is a recommendation by the planning commission, but it's up to the council. We need to talk this stuff over. If you have any misgivings or misunderstandings, now is the time to ask the question. But if you do think of something in the next week or so, get back with Dan or Jerry or Dave, but it will be brought up at our next council meeting. So moving on, we have the first reading of ordinance number 595 for commercial kennels. Do anybody have any questions on the commercial kennels?
Is this Your Honor, this is Smith. Is this the first reading or second? Didn't we have this
first
brought to us?
reading?
Okay.
Was that a question you'd like for me to address?
No, I remember talking about this, Dave, and
Yes.
and I do agree that I think it is more appropriate here than other areas, so I like it.
Well, we already approved putting it into the commercial districts. That you did act on. But what we discovered after having done that we overlooked was that that referenced back to existing language on commercial kennels, and that language had some acreage limitations and some setback limitations that were appropriate when it was going into other zoning classifications, but was needlessly restrictive in the commercial. So this, what's being proposed now eliminates those overly restrictive provisions that still apply in the residential areas.
Okay.
Any other questions? Like I say, this is the first reading of ordinance number 595, and we'll bring it back up at our next council meeting. Item 16. Somebody else say something? Okay. Item 16, resolutions. Consider resolutions 2021-01 to approve the depositories for the funds for the city of Hastings. Do I hear a motion and support on that?
This is
Jarvis,
Carrie.
I make that motion.
Yep.
Motion by Jarvis, supported by Carey.
Yep.
To approve resolutions 2021-01 to approve of depositories for the funds of the city of Hastings. Any discussion?
Are
Anybody have
any of these new institutions? Are these all the same that we've used in the past?
You want to answer that, Jane?
Yeah, they're the same institutions that you've approved in the past.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one. I
Go ahead,
believe TFC is merging into another bank. Is that like Mercantile or another one on our list that's
It's
going to cause us a
Huntington.
problem?
They're merging
Huntington.
with Huntington.
Huntington, okay. And they're both on our list, so we're going to need another depository?
Not at this time.
Any other comments?
So do we research these every year or we just go with the same ones year after year?
We are constantly looking at the financial institutions that comply with PA 20 and making sure that their fiscal health is where we need it to be for our satisfaction.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
yes,
Carey,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B, consider resolution 2021-02 to approve signatories for financial institution accounts of the city of Hastings. Everybody get a chance to look at this one? So what's your pleasure?
Bowers, I'll make that motion.
Moppenmore, I'll support.
Motion by Bowers, supported by Moppenmore, to approve resolution 2021-02 to approve signatories for financial institution accounts of the city of Hastings. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes,
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 17, consider elected official salaries as recommended by the mayor. I actually didn't
Bowers, I
recommend-
will move that, make that motion.
Okay, motion by Bowers to approve salaries recommended by the mayor. Do I have a support on that?
Carrie, support.
Carrie, support. I was gonna say before Don interrupted me, I actually didn't recommend these salaries. It's been a long time since we've got a raise, the council or the council members. Maybe it's something we need to look at this time. But at this time, these are the salaries, and we have a motion and support. Any discussion on this?
Yes, Your Honor. I think I agree with you. I think we should look at that next year. Before it comes to the council. That's all.
Maybe during budget process, maybe?
That's a good idea.
Any other comments?
I agree with Don Smith. We should kind of take a look at this and maybe our legal expenses or something of that nature. There were some concerns of at our salary, we couldn't afford to hire an attorney or anything like that to defend us other than use the city attorney.
Any other comments? Roll call.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes,
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Appointments. It's my pleasure tonight to make a recommendation that we continue Jerry Zarnicki's contract as city manager of the city of Hastings, agreement expiring January 10th, 2022.
I second. Carrie.
Smith, so moved.
Motion by Smith, seconded by Carey. A little backwards, but we'll take it.
Right.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
yes,
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to take a moment to thank everybody for the reappointment, and I'm looking forward to another year.
You're doing
You asked me for permission to talk, is that what you're saying? Well, I'm really hopeful, Jerry and I talked today, 2021 is gonna start out as a promising year. I didn't think so a week ago, but, I think, we can only go up from here, so. Thanks and congratulations, Jerry. Our next appointment is the city attorney, Stephanie Feckus and Rhodes McKee, attorneys at law. Consider city attorney's retainer and hourly rate expiring January 10th, 2022. Everybody get a chance to look at her letter. What's your pleasure?
This is McNabb Stang. I make a motion, we approve.
Support Jarvis.
Motion by McNabb Stain, supported by Jarvis to keep Stephanie on as our city attorney and her firm, Rhodes McKee Attorneys at Law. Any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, this is Smith.
Go ahead.
Yep. I would, I kind of have a question, and I sent some emails to Jerry and he answered quite a few of my questions, but I was a little confused with the relationship between the city attorney and Rhodes McKee. And then sometime in the future, I know Stephanie has great experience being our city attorney. I'd like to see an RFP just to check the amount that we're being charged, just to do our due diligence and be a good steward of the funds of the city of Hastings. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, any other discussion, comments? Roll call. Go ahead. Got it. Jackie, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I do have a question. So is this, I guess I'm trying to understand more too, is that, because, I'm new, I'm going to use that card. Is this a contractual agreement between us and Stephanie or us and Rhodes and McKee?
If you want me to answer that, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
So basically, it's with me. I'm with the firm of Rhodes McKee, who serves as my backup. So we always put the firm affiliation in there. And just by way of explanation, because I know you haven't been on the council before, the charges that I have included in my proposed engagement are consistent for the last 3 years. I've not raised my rates at all. So, but I am the appointed city attorney and Rhodes McKee is the firm that I'm affiliated with.
Okay, so Stephanie, do we sign something with you? Like you sign it and then like the council signs or someone or the mayor or city manager? Do we like actually have some kind of like legal agreement, I guess?
So with attorneys, you use the function of an engagement letter because hourly charges and there's no specific monies you have to spend or don't have to spend on me, but by our rules of professional conduct, we're required, actually, I'm not required because I've been the city attorney so long, you all know what my fees and my procedures are, but I still enunciate those every year in conformity with the rules of professional conduct, which is Rule 1.5, which says that I'm espousing what my hourly rates are and what the things that you will be charged for. And those are enclosed in an engagement letter, which is the proposal that I submit. And then when the city council votes on that, that's their acceptance of the hourly rates and the proposal that I have set forth. Then it's up to the city to decide what projects they forward to me on a daily, weekly, quarterly basis. And so that's just depending on what legal actions and questions arise for the city or don't. So some years there's a lot of things going on and other years there aren't. So there's no minimum fees, there are no maximum fees. The retainer is just the minimum fees, I guess, that you would say, that keeps me on hand to answer any questions that come up. And I don't charge for those outside of those. I don't charge for coming to meetings. I don't charge for my conferences with Jerry every other week. So those are just some of the things that are set forth in that.
You're right. And that explains that in the proposal. Okay. All right. I'm much clearer now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You said you're going to pull that card for a while, Jackie. I'm assuming, and I welcome your comments and your questions.
Thank you.
And I forgot to welcome you tonight as our new council member.
Thank
So
you.
having that said, any other comments about Stephanie as our city attorney? Roll call.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have boards and commissions, appointments by the mayor. Everybody get a chance to look at these? Any questions or anything on them? I think let's make a motion and support first, and then we'll go to questions. Do I hear a motion to approve?
This is Kerry, I support.
Motion by
No.
Kerry, support. Do I have
Well-
support?
You need support, Al Jarvis.
Motion was made to approve, supported by Al Jarvis. We'll get through this night, guys. Any further comments? Roll call.
David, this is
Yeah.
Don Bowers.
Yeah,
I see there's a lot of vacant ones. What do we do with those?
well, I'm gonna be bringing to you in the next few meetings, people to fill those. I didn't want to be disrespectful to Bill Redmond. And, most of those vacancies are some of the boards that he was on. So I'm gonna be looking for somebody in the next few weeks. I wanted to give it a little bit of time, seeing you
Okay,
pass.
I understand now. Thank you.
Okay, yep. Any other comment? Roll call.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 4, we need to appoint a health officer, Barry Eaton Health Department for a 1-year term expiring December 31st, 2022. Which pleasure.
Jarvis,
I make that
motion.
This
Motion
is
by
McNabb
Jarvis.
Stang, support.
Supported by McNabb Stain. Any discussion?
I have a question, Your Honor. Do we have to do this every year or can we do it for longer terms?
I think what we've been doing is for 1 year. I guess it's up to you guys. Is there, and I would ask Stephanie that, can we make it a longer contract with Barry Eaton Health Department as far as having them for a health officer? Or is there anybody can answer this out there?
I'd have to go back honestly and look at the, at our rules. 'Cause I think that they're done on an annual basis, but I'd have to go back and look at that. And I can try to look that up while we're in the meeting here real quick.
Okay.
Okay,
Jarvis, I know that sometimes the commissioners are in dispute on breaking up the county health with Eaton. So maybe we should just do it on a yearly basis.
well, we have that motion and support. Any further comments? Let's do the year and then we'll have Stephanie research it and,
Sounds good.
okay, any other comments? Roll call.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B, Jerry?
Yes, I bring to the council this group of department heads and I present them to you for appointment. In my feeling, this is a championship team. There are always areas for us to improve, and every great championship team in history has had the personality conflicts. It is how those teams handle those conflicts and work together as a team that define their place in history. I bring this group to you as a team to be appointed. It is the potential of the whole that makes me excited to work with this group. If we get lost in a downward spiral when we focus on weakness and negative about others. Once we've noticed strengths, positives and the power of the whole, our focus and attitude will spiral upward. So I bring this group to you for appointment.
This is Jarvis. I make the motion that we go along with the team with Jerry's recommendation.
Motion by Jarvis. Do I hear
Smith
support?
supports.
Motion by Jarvis, support by Smith to approve Jerry's appointments, the city manager's appointments for 2021.
Mayor, I do have one. City assessor, is this just gonna be for a year or something like that? Or why do we need two if it's, is it just training?
Well, this is a team that works for us, Jerry. I think that, or excuse me, Don, if you like, Jerry can explain a little closer to you or give you a little more details on it. Jerry?
Yeah, the assessors that we are working with, they work as a team. They focus on different areas. So it's really two for the price of one. They're not charging us any more.
Okay.
It's just that they focus on areas together and makes them a better team.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, Your Honor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I know that in the past that we've had some issues with, and historically we've always appointed as a team. And I understand Jerry's point of view on that. He wants to bring him in as a team. That's great. I know that some of these duty positions, these appointments are described in the charter, and some of them are not with far as their duty description. And I know that Jerry's going to be working on that, and I look forward to seeing those in the future, especially for like the deputy city manager and exactly what that entails based on what it says in the charter and the other positions. And I think having a good duty description for each individual appointment and defining their job and their role will help the city run even better. And I imagine that's a fluid document that Jerry would be updating all the time when things come to arise. So I just want to say that I would really like the city manager to refine those things in detail in all the positions so that everybody knows what their job is and they can do their job. That way they can identify things that they're missing and discrepancies and just improve the functionality of the city. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, I just have a question. My question is for Roger. Roger, do you feel like you know enough about the city workings to be able to step in if Jerry were to be absent, if you took over as deputy chief manager?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Roger.
Yep.
I hope
Okay,
I think so means you do.
Okay, any further comments? This has been a lot of fun tonight doing this meeting. Roll call.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Tassava. Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Bowers. Sorry,
Thank
Bowers.
you. Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
No.
McLean. McLean.
Yes.
Okay.
I-
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Consider city manager's appointment as Title VI coordinator. What's your pleasure on this one?
I move to approve to make the city manager Title VI coordinator. Your Honor, Smith.
Motion by Smith, supported by Rezegi. Now I'm going to ask Jerry to tell us what a Title VI coordinator is.
Yes, thank you. I was just gonna ask.
That is working with workplace discrimination, that kind of stuff. And it's me making sure that the city's following the policies. It's been a role that's been with the city manager all along. And so it just needs to be appointed for the annual.
Okay,
Jerry.
go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Jerry, does that require further training on your part?
They have training periodically. There is a Title VI policy that I'm in the process of updating that has
Okay.
not been updated, that I'll be bringing to council in the next little while.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
yes,
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Bids, contracts, and agreements, sales. Item A, consider Macaca grant application for fiscal year 2021 and authorize mayor to sign. What's your pleasure on this one?
I'll make a motion, Rezegi, to approve.
Smith support.
This is McNabb Stang, we support.
Motion by
That's right,
Smith,
Don.
or motion by Rezegi, supported by Smith to approve. Discussion. Anybody want to know what this Macaca grant is?
Well, I know what it is, but I'm questioning like the cash match, and has that already been secured? And is the $4,000 that we're requesting, is that the minimum that we could request, or can we request more based on what our programming is going to be if we decide or want to increase our programming?
Mr. Mayor,
Wanna
this
answer?
is Dan.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
this is
Dan.
Dan. I can answer that. Yeah, Jackie, this is a micro grant. The maximum amount is $4,000.
Okay.
Our grant application from earlier in the year, due to circumstances outside of our control of COVID, was not funded by Macaca. So this micro grant will allow us to do some of the brochures, the schedule pamphlets and rack cards, some other programming at the Spray Plaza. So again, this is a $4,000 grant application. We'll see what Macaca does with it. But yes, it is the maximum that we can apply for.
And the cash match is secured.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion and support. Without further discussion, roll call.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
yes,
Smith,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B, consider third amendment to real estate sales agreement for 128 North Michigan Avenue.
Smith moves to approve the third amendment to the real estate agreement on 128 North Michigan Avenue.
Motion by
Carey,
Smith,
Carey support.
supported by Carey to approve the third amendment. Questions, comments?
This is McNabb Stang. I have a question. They attached this drawings, and the drawing of the first floor plan shows apartments on the ground floor and behind the commercial. They originally proposed this to have parking underneath there, not apartments. What's going on?
Dan?
I had to unmute myself. Yes, as part of the scaled back version of the project itself, number one, due to the cost escalations over the last 12 months due to COVID, and also their funding request from the MEDC, they did scale back the project on a footprint side, and consequently, as you noticed, the original plans called for the parking on the main floor underneath the apartment complex with the mixed use on one of the sides. The mixed use will still be on the main floor, but there'll also be apartments on that main floor in the second, third, and then fourth structure. We've worked with Venna Clausen through that. We will be, they are working currently on their site plan. It will require a special use permit due to the density issue in the B1 district. And I know Planning Commission will be request to hold a public hearing next month, or did place it on their agenda to consider a text amendment for properties such as this in the B1 district. So yes, it is a change in floor plan just due to the circumstances around COVID.
And Brenda, to yours.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Brenda, to yours, they still have this enough parking on site for the residential units that they have. You'll notice that the parking that is there that they show on the picture that I have on the screen, that is not just no longer covered. It is still on the property that's there that they have the option to purchase. So they've shrunk the size of the building. So they are still putting, and they've reduced the number of units. So the number of parking spots on there still is the 1 per unit like they had proposed in the original drawing.
May I ask?
So was anybody gonna point that out to us, or it's just, the luck of the draw that you notice it? It bothers me that this was just presented and said, here, approve this extension, which totally changes the project. And then nobody says anything.
But there's been no
It's more
approval of the
than-
project.
much more
It's
than-
been conceptual. It's a conceptual drawing, just like the other one was, for what they're going to put there. What this does is this takes the cost of the project, makes it less, which in turn makes any of the tax abatements or any of the percentages that we were going to waive as a city, and making that less than what we were going to do in the original agreement.
But this is more than just like an extension. This is an amendment. This is a change. Why was it presented in this way? I'm very upset with the way this was handled.
And I am too.
I have a comment, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
If Brenda's done. Are you done, Brenda?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, this, Jerry, Your Honor, this still has to go to the Planning Commission, and they still have to go over all the details of the current zoning for that location, correct? Like they still have to, we allow living space and retail on 1 floor, and we changed that a while ago, but that still goes through the Planning Commission.
That's correct. That's correct.
So they're still gonna go through this again and bring it back to us yet again, right? And is that their prerogative with the Planning Commission, with our final approval, typically?
When it's a site like that, if they bring a project that fits the site and the zoning, it's the Planning Commission that makes the determination on whether the project is appropriate.
Right, and if it fits the zoning requirements, even if the Planning Commission said no and we said no, they could probably take that to court and still win, because our ordinance says they could do so.
Yeah, as long as their plan fits within the zoning requirements for that district, then the Planning Commission would give them approval.
So essentially, we're just approving the amendment to the sale, and the rendering was in there because it's not a final rendering, so it's going to come back to us yet again. The rendering, I imagine. Only if they need a variance, right? If they fit the zoning, it won't come to us again, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is this gonna be, have they chopped the top of it off, or is this going to add more permits? You understand?
I think they're making it taller. It's a 4-story building now.
It still can only be so tall, Brenda. Can't exceed 40 feet. That's the ordinance. Right, Jerry?
Yeah, our ordinance has a height limit, not a floor number limit.
Yeah, I think it's 45 feet.
But does this add apartments? Where the parking was gonna be?
No, I think it subtracts apartments, but it adds a floor. There's less apartments per floor, but there's an additional floor, and I guess
And ov-
supposedly have enough room for their parking lot.
Yeah, and overall, it's less units.
Oh,
But it's still better than what we have there. So we have a motion and support to approve the extension. Any further comments?
Yes, Your Honor. I remember that we approved this project, and the biggest part of our approval of this project was because they had in the building or under the building parking, so that they wouldn't take up all the extra parking. I'm kind of a little disappointed in the change, as well as Brenda McNabb. I realize that any housing is better than nothing, but I'm still disappointed about this.
John,
John,
John, the parking is still on site. It's just not covered now. What you looked at was the parking that they put in the original rendering was enough parkings under the building on the first floor, one for each unit they were gonna propose. So they have shrunk the building. They have less units. So that drawing that you see there of the parking lot all still fits within the footprint of that property. It does not expand
Their
onto.
property, and it don't extend into where the toy box was.
It does not extend into that. It's only on the property that they're looking to
I'm
purchase.
looking at the corner of that property, the west, northwest corner of what looked like the street right away, and it looks like it extends all the way into the city parking lot there.
Yeah, I think it's extended to the area that was gravel beside the building that the city held on to, that they now want to claim.
Right. Isn't that city parking lot there?
I think half of their parking lot is city parking lot.
Right.
well, what we're asking for tonight is an approval on the extension. They're gonna come to us with a site plan with measurements and everything on there. Back when the Moose was there, they had that big white building there, and they still had parking spots behind it. There were still parking spots to the west of that. You can kind of, if you go over there and look, that driveway, there's a driveway right there that goes into that parking lot behind the brew pub. Well, that driveway is about where the property line's at. So there's more property there than what we realize, you know, and with that building being gone, it looks to me, but without seeing the exact measurements, it looks to me like this building is going to be similar in size to the old part. It'll just a little bit bigger than the old part of the Moose was. You know, if you tore that white part off, what was left over was kind of what this size this building's going to be.
And
But
taller.
they're going to come to us with drawings and everything, you know, and we'll still have a plan. We'll still have a chance to approve these drawings, you know, at the planning commission end of it. They're not going to approve anything if, you know, if it's not going to be beneficial to that area over there or the community. So, any other questions?
Then we need to strike paragraph 5 of this extension, because this extension incorporates those attachments into the agreement as well as extending it. If we want them to bring this back, otherwise we're approving the exhibits.
Are we approving 21 on that then, essentially? Paragraph
Yep,
5.
that's what 5 says. That's what paragraph 5 says.
Well, that means they can't go smaller.
I'd have to agree with Brenda. When there's changes made, I think we should be made aware of it prior to voting on these things. Whether or not we want to continue at that rate, or we want to go back and discuss it with them about why are you changing and so forth. I don't think they should just send it to us like this. I mean, that's not very professional.
Your Honor, I have another question for Jerry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Your Honor. What was it, 23 spots they had before, Jerry, and they went down to 21?
Yeah. What do you need? Oh, okay.
Did they go from 23 units to 21 units?
I'm going to be honest with you, Don. I've been trying to dig through my files here a second. I don't remember what the original footprint or number of units was. But
I'd be okay with that.
But they did reduce the number of units because of the change in the footprint.
Jerry, this is Dan. The original number of units were between 28 and 30.
Wow.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Kerry. Originally, when we first looked at this project, there was a discussion about having parking across the street, over in the, across the street from the Superette. It looks like now that they've got this so that all parking will be all on property that we will sell to them, that the city currently has.
That's correct, Jim.
Okay, all right. So they, I mean,
I don't
Go
think
ahead.
that's the case. I don't think that's the case. I think half of their parking lot is going to take over a section of the city parking.
How can they do that if they don't own it, Brenda?
I think they're expecting us to sell it to them.
No, they fitted on the footprint of what the original agreement was that we were willing to sell to them as a city.
yeah. Hey, can I ask, Dave Hatfield's here. This is Jim Carey again. Dave Hatfield? Is he?
Yes.
Is he, yeah, hey, Dave?
Yes.
Dave Hatfield? Will this thing work?
Well, I think actually it probably is more viable at the reduced size than it was originally.
Okay.
One of the concerns that MEDC, or one of the things that they're considering are the number of proposed units that we're currently looking at. So we now have a revised plan that will see the Royal Coach building go ahead. We've got the project that you're going to be talking about in a minute, Kendall Place. This project plus a number of other smaller projects. I think that there's a limit to, despite the fact that we have a shortage of housing, the absorption rate and how quickly they'll be able to sell these or rent these units will have a significant impact on the viability of the project. So all in all, I think the slightly reduced size is probably a positive. I think the fact that they're now able to accommodate all of the parking on their own property is a positive. So I look at this favorably, but I'm still anxious to see the revised site plan that we'll review at the Planning Commission here shortly.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Thank you.
Any other comment?
Merriam-Webster, 1A. Yes, I have gotten a better look at the print, and I was wrong. I was definitely wrong. The entrance to where I'm looking at and thought it was the street right away to the west northwest corner was not. It was the entrance to the Toy Box parking lot, not the street right away by Napa. So I was wrong. I apologize.
Any other comments? We have a motion and support. Roll call.
Carey,
Yeah.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Nabstang,
No.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Consider amendment to option agreement with Kendall Place Limited Dividend Housing Association, LLC, for city property in the Court Street PUD. I hear a motion on this one.
Make that motion, Rezegi.
Support, Smith.
Motion by Rezegi, supported by Smith to approve the extension. Comments, questions?
Yes, I have one. Are they changing anything also?
This is Dan. Not at this time. No, the planning commission's reviewed the site plan. And at this point, no changes.
Thank you.
And this is McNabb saying, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Why are we requiring an additional $10,000 be put down by the other property and not this one?
Because the original agreement did not have any additional if they did not meet the requirements. So this is just purely an extension, partly because Kendall Place, the plan was before the agreement expired, Kendall Place would have gotten a second chance to get the LIHTC funding that they were hoping for, but the October, I believe it was October round, was canceled because of COVID. So by extending it to this, there's going to be one round in February, and this would give them the chance to do that second round that they wanted to do before they reevaluated their plans. So it was out of their control that they didn't get the second chance. So the thought process was to give them a second chance to see if they can get the funding and move this project forward.
Any other questions?
I have one comment, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I would imagine as well, once they have their final site plan and design, again, it goes to the planning commission. And if it was far outside the original intent, I imagine that it wouldn't go through. So I trust that the planning commission will communicate and adjust to them with the original intent from the city council. That's all.
Anyone else? Motion made, supported. No further question or comments. Roll call.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Retzky,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Powers,
I can hardly hear you, but yes.
Carey,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion
And this
carried.
is McNabb saying, I did not hear my name, so.
Sorry, McNabb staying.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I think something happened to your audio there for a minute, Jane, because I kind of lost you too. Okay, item D, consider quote from Van Dyken Mechanical to install ventilation system in the city fire barn for $97,000 is recommended by city manager Jerry Zarnicki.
I have a question, Your Honor.
I'd like to have a motion of support first, Don, then we'll go into discussion.
Oh,
This is
okay.
Carrie, I support.
Moppenmore.
Carrie, the motion to approve by Carrie, supported by Moppenmore. What's your question, Don?
Well, my question is this. I've seen some small places and they ran a hose from the thing through a hole in the door. They had a flap over it, of course. Why aren't we looking at doing that? It'd be a lot cheaper, obviously.
Well, I think the biggest problem they have over there, Don, picture standing outside that building and all of a sudden all the doors open up on that building. They have to fire up every piece of equipment over there, every truck over there, because most of them have air brakes on them. And sometimes you might fire a piece of equipment up for a few minutes and the air pressure builds up so you can move the truck. Without air pressure, you can't move the truck. The brakes are locked up. So what happens is that those trucks are all sitting there running. And once the air pressure gets up, they shut the trucks off. Now, if they shut the doors, the building's full of exhaust. And in the back, because they're all backed in the back of every one of them trucks, you have on the west end, you have a conference room in there. On the northwest corner, you have a kitchen, lunchroom for the employees. Then you have bathrooms and office space on the side. When you go in there after that equipment's been running, that place is all full of carbon monoxide yet. We used to have hoses like you're talking about over city garage. The problem is most of these things, they have stacks up on top or or you got to crawl underneath the truck to get a hose hook to it. And then when you have them running, the heat from the exhaust coming out, it puts off a nasty odor in that rubber hose. But that's, you know, that's why we never used them at city garage. We used a ventilation system.
Well, I just wondered because there are places that do it that way.
I think they probably could if they had one piece of equipment running at a time, but
Yeah,
that's one of the first things a firefighter does when he gets there in the morning. He fires everything up, gets it ready for the day in case they have a fire. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, Don, there's multiple vehicles that run at one time. So it's more than just running one hose and doing that. And I think in a discussion with Roger, that was looked at in the past, and in the past, when they looked at that was even more expensive than what this system is.
What?
Okay.
This is McNabb.
Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Jackie. This is McNabb saying I have a question.
Go ahead.
I had inquired of Gary and Jane about this $397,000 that they point out we still had in the general fund from last year. I inquired as to what we had already committed out of that money, and what we didn't do last year that we still expected to do this year that wasn't in the budget. I got an answer that said that the things that had been committed to weren't coming out of the general fund except for the monitors, which was a little over $8,000. The other one was coming out of the water sewer fund. The other one was coming out of the capital account. So apparently we don't have any unfinished projects from last year that we need any of this money for. And apparently there's no more concern about COVID and the lack of funds from the state that we have to be concerned about covering, that we're just going to start spending this $397,000 on purported emergencies that have gone on for the last 15 years, at least. I mean, we've had this issue with the fire barn and needing ventilation, and now it's an emergency, and now it's something that isn't included in the budget and can't now wait until the next budget year. I don't think this is a way to run the city. I support getting the ventilation system, but I don't support the way we're doing it.
Go ahead, Jackie.
To follow up Brenda's comments. So let me just clarify again, because I'm new. The portion of Birch we would be paying for upfront if this was to be done. So in the event that they don't approve that amount, then we're eating the rest of the cost.
Correct.
So I guess to be a good steward of our money, you know, we've had this issue obviously for some time now. So to be sure and that Birch is going to approve paying the portion of the ventilation system that they're going to pay, which is just over 60%, which is a lot. You know, maybe it's in our best interest to hold off until they decide, because I'm assuming at this point they haven't decided or voted yes to approve that. So, you know, can't we wait? Is it that urgent to do it now and run the risk of paying for all of it? Or do we wait a couple months until they approve it and then we're only responsible for our portion?
And Jackie, it can be either way. The reason I brought this to you is, as Brenda mentioned, this has been an issue for 15 plus years and has not been addressed up to this point. In discussion with Roger and going over and visiting the fire barn, as the mayor mentioned, it is a concern. And so I brought it now because we had this additional money that we found in the audit. And as Brenda mentioned, you know, yes, we don't want to spend all of that and come out with a whole bunch of projects, but I think this is one for safety reasons that we should seriously consider. I've been in discussion with Jim Brown, who is the chairperson of Birch. He is going back and having discussion with the township supervisors and to figure out if, to get them to consider paying for that portion of it. But again, it's got to go through 5 townships for that to happen. And for that
Right.
to waiting a month, I don't know if that's what it's going to be, or if it's going to be 2 months, or if it's going to be whatever. Yes, we've waited 15 years to get to this point, but the question is how much, in my mind, is how much longer. So I wanted to bring it to you. I know I'm pretty confident that this decision has not been put in front of this board prior to this. That does not mean it wasn't a concern before. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring it to the council and find out, do you want to move forward with putting this ventilation system in? Because we have an opportunity. Sometimes, as the mayor said, you get some positive things from COVID because we shut down on some of the projects that we did. We weren't planning on doing this, but now we have an opportunity to do it. And it is an issue. So does council want to do it right now? Do you want to postpone a month, 2 months, however long it takes for the townships to do? I'm bringing it to you for consideration. You tell me what direction you want to go. I think as a city, we should consider doing this. Yes, we run the risk that the townships or the Birch won't pay for their part of it, but I do also think that that's these firefighters are our employees for the city of Hastings, and I think it is important to consider the air quality in that building for them.
So, Mayor,
Just
Can we
a
at
second.
least have a list of what those projects were that we didn't do? I mean, can we see what we're giving up for doing this now instead of putting it in the budget, which is where it should be in the first place? I mean, you said we forego, we didn't do a bunch of projects because of COVID. What are we not doing now because of this?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
the other question I have is this the only estimate that we've gotten for this project? I mean, we say yes, and that's how much it is, and that's who we're going with?
This is
Are
the
we
only
supposed-
estimate. This is the only estimate we got because Van Dyken is who we've utilized, so we can integrate this with the other system that we already have within the city.
Yeah,
So-
but that's a whole different building, right?
But it will be integrated with the technology so it can be regulated by our software that we have in place to regulate the heating and cooling in the garage, the city hall, and then it'll be the fire barn.
Well, I would think that other people were familiar with that same software, but maybe I'm wrong.
I have a question, Your Honor, if everyone's done.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jerry, who is the lead on putting this bid together? Was it you or Travis or Roger?
It was me in working with Roger.
Okay, if it was approved, what's their turnaround time from if we approved and paid for it till it was installed? Do you know that?
I don't know that for sure yet. They're in the process of looking at the gas that's there, but the turnaround was pretty quick for the one at the garage.
Okay.
But I did tell them that if you guys say yes tonight, that we're going to work to get it done as quickly as we can.
Okay, and then I don't doubt that it's needed. I do share the same concern that Jackie shares on the cost from Birch. What does it take for Birch? I don't know when their next meetings are, timelines, but what would it take for Birch to actually approve it? Do they have to have a certain number of the townships approve for the money for them to be, have to pay the money, or is it are they contractually obligated because of the Birch contract we have? Can you speak to that, please?
They are not contractually obligated by the Birch contract because the Birch contract, when it was originally written, has excluded improvements to the building.
Okay.
One of the things, though, moving forward, and there's been some discussion over a number of years, is to expand the fire barn location there to better house the equipment. When that happens, that will become more of a partnership with Birch and the city to make that expansion. This will be the first time that they've paid for a building improvement. Their contract states that when we do their they reimburse us each year what we paid the previous year after we extract building improvements. There's a list of like 4 or 5 things that they don't pay for because they see them as city expenses.
So Jerry, essentially, certain townships within Birch could choose to pay or not pay, is what you're saying.
Well, I don't know. So Birch has a couple options when we go to them. If Birch has money in their account that they collect from the townships, Birch as an organization could say yes. If they don't have that in there, then they would have to go back to the individual townships to ask them to kick in more money. And that's why it could be quite a process. Birch meets a couple times a year, but it's not a set time. They kind of meet as needed. And so that's why I'm in discussion with Jim Brown now to work on getting this moving forward with them.
Is there a chance Jim Brown and the Birch board, so it comes from the Birch committee or group funds, is it a chance that they could have an emergency meeting on this, or something that if the motion was amended to wait, like, hey, we want to go forward with this and give them a chance to like contribute funds to this? And something that they could do in the next couple of weeks before next meeting?
I can't speak for Birch on that, but I would reach out to Jim and try to get that done. My goal is to get the ventilation in as quick as possible for the fire barn environment.
Right. I just look at it like if we made a motion to move forward with this, I don't see it being installed in 2 weeks. And I think that would give time for them to communicate, because it sounds like they could just say no, but it's really needed and we need to do it anyways. But I think giving them a chance to have discussions before we full pot commit to this is smart use of our time and money. That's just my recommendation. I don't know who made the motion, if it was Jim Carey or who made the motion. It was Don, it was you?
No, it's Carey.
Oh, it's Carey. Okay.
Yes. I have a question. This is Carey. If this moves ahead and then Birch says yes, we would get a $97,000 upgrade for $40,000. Is that what I'm hearing? They'd pay 60%?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Who was the lead person when Van Dyken did the work at the city garage? Was there any loose ends, or were they real timely? Was there any extras or anything that Van Dyken had taken over?
No loose ends, and they were very timely, and everything's working well over there. They've done a nice job of making sure everything is up and running the way it's supposed to. They've come out as we've needed for training on how to integrate the software, as well as how to making sure that all of the equipment is running the way it's supposed to.
Okay.
I have a question, Your Honor, or a comment. Basically, I would like to see a whole new city fire department, but if we can't have that, I don't want our fire department or the men in that fire department put in any more harm's way than they have for the past 15 years. Carbon monoxide is something that does not leave the body, and therefore it can build up over a period of time. And if they're breathing this and have been breathing it for 15 years, the quicker we move on it, the safer them guys are going to be.
First time I've heard about it.
Any other comments?
Well, this is Al Jarvis, and I just see it as a safety thing for the employees. So I'm all for it. So.
Okay, any other comments? Roll call.
Bowers.
What does she say?
Bowers.
No.
Carey.
Yes.
Jarvis.
Yes.
Moppenmore.
Yes.
McLean.
No.
McNabb Stang.
No, not at this time.
Rezegi.
Yes.
Smith.
No.
Tassava.
Yes.
Sorry, 5-4, motion carries.
Okay.
I would like to know, Mr. Mayor, what we said we were going to do and aren't. I'd like a list of that in the next meeting, please. I'd like to be aware of it.
Can you, does the full council want that, or Jerry, you want to get it to Don, or?
I will
what's your-
work, I will get that.
Okay. City manager report.
All right, Mr. Mayor, in the packet, we have the monthly report and the annual report from the Director of Public Service. So if you've had a chance to look at that, Travis, I believe, is on the line. Let me look and
I'm
see.
here, Jerry.
Okay, all right. Travis is here, so if you have any questions for Travis, you can ask him.
I have a comment to Travis. It's nice that people don't read the report to us, but you added something that I'd like to see more done, is you kind of saying what you're going to be doing in the next month or 2 months, and that was good information, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I got a question, Travis. This is Mayor.
Yes.
In these non-compliance notices, the inspections for the backflow preventers and all that stuff, I see pretty much all of these are City of Hastings. Are we gonna fine ourselves if we don't take care of these issues? I think at one point, like in the city garage, we had all these vacuum breakers and stuff in there. Must be, they were taken out, but do we, some of this, like the dog park and the parks, we don't have the water turned on yet. So do we have to put all that stuff in and have them inspect it before the water's even turned back on?
No, we're not going to fine ourselves. We could, but it's just an example of what it's going to look like when we take it out to the general public. We're going to correct all of the things they found that were insufficient. So those will all be corrected. But we don't have to follow that time that they say in the letters.
Well, we should though, because we're setting the example.
We should. We have a plan in place to get those things corrected. So yeah, like you say with the park, it probably doesn't need to be done until the water gets turned on in the springtime. So
thanks.
Yep.
This is McNabb saying, I have a question for Travis. Where's Trident Park?
Was that a misspelling?
Yes.
We got a new park.
It's just up the road. It's just up the road from Titan Park.
I have a question. Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Do we have any idea what this is going to cost? I know we got to do it, but I'm wondering what it's going to cost.
I don't have a cost estimate put together yet for all the city properties. Vern Robbins, he's the guy kind of in charge of this project, and he's going to get, some cost estimates from the plumbing company that we choose to get that more narrowed down.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Travis. Also in your packet is the monthly and annual report from Chief Karras. And we know Roger's on the line, so if you have any questions for him, please ask.
Your Honor, I have a question for Roger Karras. Roger, are you on the line?
Go ahead.
I just have a quick question about, I see you had 20 or plus structural fires in 2020. And I guess my question is, what do all those fires compare that year, or maybe the last 5 or 10 years compared to the Royal Coach Building? in water usage and in man hours. If you could speak to that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
We used, and that on the wiring to Royal Coast building, we used 800,000 gallon of water, which is probably more than we used on any of the rest of the fires we had. So it's
okay.
A lot of the structure fires we had were very minimal, wasn't anything major. We've had probably 2 or 3 structure fires that actually were more than 50% destroyed, but the rest of them were just minor fires. But we still have to list them as structure as far as the state of Michigan is concerned.
Roger. Yeah, you guys did a great job. Thank you, Chief.
Did anybody have insurance on that building?
What's that?
Did anybody have insurance on that building?
I know it's been done. They tore all the cement slab out of it. They filled everything in and got it fenced in, and I don't know what's going on now. Dan might know more about that.
Yeah, Don, this is Dan. No, the Berry Community Foundation, obviously it was a unoccupied dwelling, so they couldn't carry casualty insurance on it. They did have liability insurance only.
I have one more question for Roger. Did you guys ever figure out what the gas smell was up in the North Street area?
I don't think they found anything. They called consumers on all natural gas leaks. If there's smell or odor, we call Consumers Power. They come in and they check everything, but I don't think anything was ever found. If they did, if consumers did, they didn't tell us because once we leave the scene, they never tell us anything after that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Also in the packet is the monthly and annual report from the library. And I believe Peggy's on the line as well. So if you have any questions for her, please let her know.
Peggy, this is Jackie
Yeah.
McLean.
Yeah.
I just want to say you have a wonderful report. Nice measurables, very well put together, easy to read, interesting. So I just wanted to say kudos to you for that.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Peggy, for your report. Also in your packet is the monthly and annual report from the assessors, and I believe Debbie is on the line for this meeting, if you have any questions for her. All right, well, Debbie and Lisa, thanks for your reports. In your packet, you also have the budget calendar for preparing for the 2021, 2022. I don't know how many of you have ever thought you would say those years together. We were just talking the other day about Y2K and then all the preparation we did for that. So that was 21 years ago. So, but for the 2021, 2022 budget year, so the calendar is there. And part of that, I would like to ask for you to set a workshop for 6 p.m. on Monday, January 25th. It would still be in this format with the virtual meetings, but to work on setting our goals and all of that kind of stuff to kick off that project. So I would ask that the council would set that workshop for January 25th.
Jerry, do you want us to vote on that?
You want to make a motion?
Make a motion. Yeah, make a motion and vote on it, please.
Carrie, make a motion.
Motion by Carrie to approve. Do we hear support?
Yep. Yep.
Do I hear support of Carrie's motion?
This is McNabb saying I'll support it.
Supported by McNabb-Stain. Motion by Carrie, supported by McNabb-Stain to have set a workshop meeting at 6 p.m. on January 25th, 2021. Any further discussion?
Yes, Your Honor. Is this electronic meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else? Roll call.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Mop and Moore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
So just like the mayor said, with 2021 kicking off, we're looking forward to a great year and a lot of great things that are happening. So that ends my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, item 21, consent items without individual discussion. As always, wait till I go through all these and you see anything you want to talk about, we'll come back to it. Item A, invoices, we have none. Item B, draft minutes of Planning Commission, January 4th, 2021 meeting. Item C, Berry County Central Dispatch, fourth quarter summary. Item D, draft minutes of the Hastings Public Library Board of Trustees, January 4th, 2021 meeting. And item E, event calendar, January 2021. Anybody want to pull any of those items to discuss, or can I have a motion to approve and place on file?
I have one question. It just made me think about this when Stephanie was reading and saying that she sends out a monthly invoice. And do we see those invoices from Stephanie on this section? Because I don't remember seeing invoices from Stephanie on this section.
You do not, Therese, this is Stephanie.
Okay. Hi.
And hi, because they are submitted under confidentiality because of the details that are included in it, they are subject to attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
But, Jerry and Jane get those and review those and have all the details.
Okay. I was just curious because I didn't see it and you said something about it. I was like, oh, have I been missing anything? Okay, gotcha.
Anything else?
Carrie, we make a motion to approve.
Smith, so moved.
Motion by Carey, supported by Smith to approve consent items and place them on file. Roll call.
Mop and Moore,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
City Attorney's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to say thank you to the City Council for the appointment. I didn't think I'd ever say this, but I'll be starting my 30th year of serving the city, and I'm looking forward to continuing in that capacity. So thank you. And other than that, I have no further comments for council.
Legislative Director's report. Brenda, anything tonight?
No, nothing for the meeting tonight.
Open public discussion from the floor. Anybody out there would like to address the council? You have 3 minutes. State your name.
Yes, my
Anyone?
name is Randy Van Leer. I'm the owner of a hangar and an airplane at the Hastings Airport. And on December 17th, I wrote an email to Mayor Tassava and to City Manager Zarnicki asking for a 15-minute meeting to discuss some paperwork I've come across regarding the chain of ownership on a building at the Hastings Airport. I never heard back from either party, so now I'm going to ask this city council to either form a committee to look into the chain of ownership on this building, or to actually put a discussion of this building on the next city council meeting. The chain of ownership of this building has been in question going back to 2013. We're talking about specifically the Skydive building and who actually owns that. So that's what I'd like to talk about. I don't believe the chain of ownership was ever done properly. This building should have become the property of the Hastings City Berry County Airport as the result of a amended order of eviction, possession, and vesting issue, which took place in the courts in 2012. According to the ruling from Judge Skipper, that building should have reverted back to the Hastings City Berry County Airport. And at that point, the Hastings City Berry County Airport was to write a $50,000 check less taxes insurance and legal expenses to the previous owner, Rick Smith. None of those events ever happened. And there was an odd series of events that happened after that. And at the end of those events, the airport manager, Mark Noteboom, claimed that he owned the building. I think there's a lot of legal questions. At the time this happened, City Manager Jeff Mansfield and County Commissioner Ben questioned the legality of this issue. And there's been a lot of discussion at the airport amongst the pilots and various groups as to who really owns this building. I'd like to get that defined legally once and for all.
Okay, that it? Thank you. Anyone else? Mayor and council comment. Do you have any comments tonight, Teresa?
Actually, I've got a couple questions. So let me get to my notes. All right, so 2 questions that I have. One, is it possible that we could change the process and how we get the timing of the process and how we get the information for these meetings? So we're not getting them on Friday before the meeting. And then if we have questions over the weekend, we've got a couple hours on Monday to figure it out. Is it possible to get this information a little bit sooner? So that's one question I have. And the other question I have is, how are we posting open employment positions within the city? Are we posting those in the paper? Are we posting those online, with Indeed? How are we posting those positions?
Both of the above. They go in the paper and they also go on our website.
So do they get posted internally first? So if we have internal candidates, they get to apply first, or does it go to everybody?
I'll defer
All
that.
same time?
I'll defer that to Jerry, but I want to remind everybody, we've been doing this for the last year or so. When I ask for comments during mayor and council comments, I kind of like to know what's going on with your life, stuff like that. If we have questions, I don't mind taking the questions. So, but see what Jerry does when we make when we make our mayor's or council comment at the end of the meeting, he writes all this stuff down. So he'll get back with you.
Sure.
This is a long meeting, and I just soon, if you have questions, can you can ask them and Jerry can write them down and he'll get back with you. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep, that's
but-
fine.
And I don't want you to feel that I'm ignoring you either. So,
No.
it's, is that it?
Yep. Well, and just that my condolences go out to the Redmond family. We lost a great man and he's going to be missed.
Sure is. Brenda, any comment tonight?
Yes, first of all, I appreciate your comment about what happens when we do bring up issues, because that's very helpful. But we included in the packet was the major goals. Can we also get provided what the other goals were of the city? Because I'd like to also be able to look at how we did against those goals. So if Jerry could provide those as well. And I also would like to express my condolences to the Redmond family and friends as well. I'm sure there are a vast number of them in the city.
Right.
Thank you.
Don Bowers, any comment tonight?
No, I've except what I've already done.
Okay, Jim Carrey,
No comment tonight. Thanks, though.
Al Jarvis,
No, not really any comments. Hopefully we get over with having these type of meetings. So
no kidding. John Rizigi,
Yes, I'd like to say that I'm still very saddened by the passing of our friend Bill Redmond, and that I'd like to say that all of us will support the Redmond family in anything they need. Also, I'd like to thank everybody for their vote for making me another term of Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, could I add something?
Sure.
I do. I want to welcome Jackie also. So welcome, Jackie.
Thanks, Mr. Jarvis.
And I
Didn't call
forgot
me
to
Al.
ask Jackie if she had a comment. Do you have a comment,
Oh.
Jackie?
Yeah, I always have comments. Get used to that. So, I just want to say I survived my first meeting, so woohoo. Second thing I want to comment about, just real quick, I guess I'm just asking the council and you two, Mayor, about, I know when everybody's talking and I can't see everybody, it's difficult because sometimes we're talking over each other. And I just want everybody to think about what would be more beneficial to us as a group. Are we all looking at these drafts, or are we all looking at the agenda on the screen, or do we have our own agenda, or would it be beneficial if we just printed the agenda and then show all of our faces on the screen so we can all see each other all at the same time, and then we can see who's talking, because, you know, obviously you can see the person's mouth move. So I want everybody to think about what would be more beneficial for all of us, and the public as well. So I've seen other communities and other meetings done where they print the agenda and they have that in front of them, each of them, and then everybody can see everybody's face on the screen. So I don't know what would be more beneficial. I would love to see everybody's face on the screen all at the same time. So those are just my comments. So just food for thought.
Okay, thanks. Don Smith.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. I'd also like to send my blessings to Bill Redmond's family. Bill will be missed. I miss him. I know the rest of the council does, and everybody said wonderful things about him in the paper. And it just shows how well we all work together and care about each other. Also, I'd like to say I love the budget calendar that Jerry and Jane put together. I'm sure there's more back planning and more detailed stuff that goes on during the budget planning process for the other department heads and internally. And I know that, and it's good to have this working checklist and hard time dates that you have to hit, and that's great. Also, the last thing I'd like to say is this goes out to Roger and Jerry, the city manager, Roger Karras, the fire chief, is I would hope that you would convey to the rest of the fire department that I don't think any council member that voted no on the ventilation system disagreed with the fire department not having the ventilation. I think they just disagreed with the process in approving the ventilation system. That's all. And I hope that they all I know that they all care about the safety of the fire department and everything that they do and everything they've been through in the last year, especially with the Royal Coach building. So again, looking forward to this next year with all of you. Everybody have a good night. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. I visited with Bill Redmond's family Friday, and I really appreciated talking to them. It helped me, help them. I think they're doing well under the circumstances. I want to thank everybody for coming and participating. We had a lot of participation tonight in the meeting, and I really enjoyed that. You know, we had back and forth discussions on almost every item. I think that's really healthy for the city of Hastings. I think most of you people want to get home and watch that football game on. So if there's nothing else to come in front of the council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'm not watching football.
So move.
Well, anyhow, motion by
Yeah,
Smith,
support.
supported by McLean to adjourn. Everybody, any discussion? Roll call.
McLean,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
I don't know, I want to stay longer. Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes. Yeah.
Jarvis.
Yes, but Jackie, Alabama's in the game.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I will turn it on.
Okay,
Hoffman Moore,
Yes.
background.
Tassava,
Yes.
motion carried.
Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Good night.